Hi, Autumn. I wanted to go over a couple of things to clarify and help you with this assignment. So first off, I want to clarify what like terms are. Like terms are either constants, like regular numbers. So if you had the expression 2x plus 3 plus 11, 3 and 11, this positive 3 and this positive 11, can be combined. Those are like terms. This would just be 2x plus 14 because I combined the 3 and 11. Or they have the same variable, the same letter, with the same exponent. So if I had 3y plus 2 plus 5y, then the 3y and the 5y are like terms because they have the same variable and exponent, where if there's not an exponent, you assume it's 1, so they have the same exponent. There aren't any like terms for that positive 2, so the only ones I can combine are the 3y and the 5y, which gives me 8y, and then plus 2. If instead it was 3y squared plus 2 plus 5y, I couldn't combine any like terms. There aren't any like terms. Although these two terms have a y, the exponent here is a 2, the exponent here is a 1. So they're not alike. So simplifying expressions like these, even if you have decimals or fractions, you're just identifying terms that have the same variable and exponent or are just constants that you can combine. So this would be negative 4x. And then there's nothing to combine with this. So it'd just be plus 22.25. If there's ever parentheses, you always first need to distribute. So this would be negative 12x and negative 3 plus 6x. And then you can identify your like terms. So negative 12x plus 6x would be negative 6x minus 3, because nothing can be combined with that minus 3. So let's go over solving an equation. It seemed like you were making some mistakes with solving that equation in question 2. So I wanted to just go back to the basic equation here. If I wanted to solve this for x, I want to know, what does x equal? I want my last line to be x equals some number. So I want x by itself. So I need to move that multiplying by 3 and move that adding 4. I always undo what's added or subtracted first. So I'm going to undo that adding 4 by subtracting 4. You have to do that from both sides of the equal sign, because plus 4 minus 4 is 0. I end up with 3x equals 6. X isn't by itself yet, though. It's being multiplied by 3. So I'm going to undo that by dividing by 3, because dividing is the opposite of multiplying. And I end up with x equals 2. And that's it. So let's take a look at your question number 2. So over here on the left, I have the steps for solving an equation like this. You always want to simplify each side first, each expression, each side of the equal sign. Then move all the variables to one side if they're not already on one side, and then solve it. So here, I wasn't sure why you had this question mark. You don't need to have the question mark. And you switched it to an inequality. You were right on the left side when you combined negative 34 plus 91. You're right, that is 57. On the right side, though, you need to distribute that negative 3. So I would get rid of this. I don't know why you changed that variable. You changed it to a 9. We don't know what that variable is yet. That's what we're trying to find out. We're trying to see what x equals. So you have your negative 3 times 4x plus 1. And then this should just be plus 6x still. So you just need to distribute the right side, combine like terms, and then solve it. So let me go over an example. So my step one says convert any fractions to decimals. If I'm solving an equation and there's fractions in there, I like to just change them to decimals so I don't have to deal with adding and subtracting and multiplying and dividing fractions. So that's why that step's there. There aren't any fractions in your equation or in this one, but I do need to look at each side and simplify. So if I look at the left side at this expression, we're just simplifying the expression. We're combining like terms. So these are both like terms. They're both regular numbers. So I can add them together and I get 23. On the right side, I can't combine like terms yet because I still need to distribute. I need to distribute this negative 5 times 2x is negative 10x and negative 5 times 1. And then I have the 6x. So if I look at the right side more, I see that there are some like terms I can combine. This negative 10x and this positive 6x. If I add those together, I end up with negative 4x. But there aren't any constants, any regular numbers on the right side to combine with that minus 5, so I just leave that as minus 5. And on the left side, I have a 23. Now, this is just like one of those basic equations that we're going to solve. All of our variables are already on the right side, so we're good with step 3. So now we're going to just solve for x by undoing what's added or subtracted to it first. So we're going to move that minus 5 by adding 5 to both sides. So we end up with 28 equals negative 4x. And then you're going to undo this multiplying by negative 4 by dividing by negative 4. So you're left with x equals, and on the left side you need to divide by negative 4 as well, and you get negative 7. Okay? So why don't you go through that same process for your problem? Again, you did it correctly in the left side being 57. That was good that you combined these terms here. On the right side, you need to distribute this and then take a look at what you have and combine like terms. And then try to get that x by itself to see what x equals. Now let's look at question 1. So question 1 is an inequality, so I just want to quickly review a basic inequality problem. So this is like an equation. You're just trying to get the x by itself, but you flip the sign if you have to multiply or divide by a negative number. So when I'm looking at this, I want to get the x by itself. I'm going to undo what's added or subtracted first. So I'm going to undo that plus 5 by subtracting 5, because subtracting is the opposite of adding. And negative 5 plus 5 is 0. So on the left side, I'm left with negative 2x. On the right side, I'm left with an 8. Do I flip the sign? No, I do not flip the sign for subtracting, only if I multiply or divide it by a negative number. Now let's undo this multiplying by negative 2 by doing the opposite, which is to divide by negative 2. And you need to do that on both sides. Because anything divided by itself is 1, you're left with x. 8 divided by negative 2 is negative 4. So do I flip the sign? Yes, because I just divided by a negative number. So I need to flip the sign. So it's not greater than anymore, it's less than. So all of the numbers that would work in this inequality are all of the x's that are less than negative 4. So this is the question 1 on the assignment and what you did. So you decided to leave them as fractions and you change them to improper fractions, that's okay if you feel comfortable working with fractions. However, when I look at this step right here and going from here to here, 39 over 39 fourths plus 33 halves does not equal 12. So I would recommend that you change all of these fractions to decimals first and then start moving things around, since I saw that you made that mistake. The other thing is, I don't know what the question marks are here for. You don't need those. And also it appears like you changed the X here to a 3, and I'm not sure why you did that. You did that in 2 different places. So let me go over an example very similar to this, and then I'd like you to try this one again. So with this problem, I have some fractions in there, so what I'm going to do is first change all those fractions to decimals. So I still have my negative 12x, but my 13 3/4, that is the same as 13 plus 3/4. And what is 3/4? 3/4 is the same as 3 divided by 4. If I put that in my calculator, I'll see that 3/4 is 0.75. So 13 3/4 is the same as 13 plus 0.75, which is 13.75. And then I still have my plus 7x greater than, and now the same with 1 1/4, that's the same as 1 plus 1/4. And 1/4 is 1 divided by 4. If you put that in your calculator, you'll see that that is 0.25. So 1 plus 0.25 is 1.25. And then plus 2.5. So 2.5, that is the same as 2 plus 1/2. 1/2 is the same as 1 divided by 2, which is 0.5. So 2.5, if I add that together, I get 2.5. Now we can start solving. So our first step is to look at our second step here is to look at each side of the inequality. So if I look at the left side, I want to see if there's any like terms I can combine. Like terms have the same variable and exponent, or they are constants, regular numbers. So the only ones that are alike are the negative 12x and the plus 7x. So if I have negative 12 plus 7, that is negative 5. So that's negative 5x. And then I still have my plus 13.75 because there aren't any other constants on this side that I can combine with. And then on the right side, I can add these two numbers together because they're both regular numbers. They're just constants. So if I put that in my calculator, I get 3.75. Now this is a basic inequality that we can now solve for x. So all my variables are already on one side, so I'm good there. Let's now move the constants over to the right side. Let's undo the adding 13.75 by subtracting, because that's the opposite of adding. Anything positive plus the negative, that cancels out. 13.75 minus 13.75 is 0. So I'm left with negative 5x. And on the right side, I have a negative 10. Do I flip the sign for subtracting? No, it stays as greater than. Last step, undo the multiplying by negative 5 by dividing by negative 5. And when I do that, I'm left with the x. And on the right side, I'm left with a 2. Do I flip the sign? Yes, you flip the sign when you multiply or divide by a negative number. So all of the x's that are less than 2 would work in this inequality.